We are back, day 2 of RecFest. We are here again. I'm here with some new friends to talk to today. And we are here to ask the question that we ask as recruiters 1,000 times a day. It's time to finally start asking ourselves. So I'm here with my new friend, Sean Page. Sean, before we get started, I always need to ask, is this still a good time?
Yes, this is definitely a great time.
Okay, perfect. I asked, no one's ever stood me up yet, but if you've ever done an interview, which of course you have,
Yes.
you know how many times you've asked this question. So Sean and I met 5 minutes ago, and I said, want to come on a podcast? And he's here. Sean, you are TA manager at Propel. Just for everyone listening, because I know you, tell me about Propel.
Yeah, of course. So Propel is a mobile app that's specifically targeting low-income Americans and helping them get access to social safety net programs. So thinking like SNAP, Medicare, EBT, and basically helping them get easy access to those benefits, as well as we offer opportunities for them to make money and save money through our app as well.
Okay, that's awesome. I thought it was like water, but you probably hear that a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that is such a cooler Propel. So I'm glad to learn that. So we're on day 2.
Yes.
I always start our podcast. We always like to talk about what I call the recruiter breakdown, because us recruiters are always on the verge of a breakdown. Were you here yesterday?
Yes, I was.
Okay. How's RecFest going? What's your feeling so far?
Yeah, I think RecFest is a really wonderful experience. I literally love the music festival aspect of it, which a lot of times when we go to conferences, we're stuck in like dark rooms and, we're trying to awkwardly navigate, meeting new people. And I feel like here it's been very laid back, relaxed. People are really here to have fun. And so I think for me, that really makes it just a really rewarding experience. And I met quite a few new colleagues, as well as some colleagues that I've met over LinkedIn and podcasts and things of that nature. And so it's really nice to get that human connection.
Do you do other festivals and conferences, or is this the one?
That's a great question. So I actually have not been to a conference in over 5 years.
Okay.
So this has been my first post-pandemic conference.
Okay.
And I'm hoping there'll be many more after this.
Yeah. That was RecFest last year for me. And it was sort of the best one. But I asked because I get this all the time, right? It's just how much better this conference is than these other ones, that we're not stuck in the ballroom.
Yeah.
Did you hear anything interesting yesterday? Any talks, anything sticking with you?
Yeah, I definitely did. I did go to a number of AI talks around AI agents and talking more about the AI platforms that a lot of these companies out here are using today. And I think one that really stuck with me was Humanly. I actually got to meet with their CEO and I had a follow-up question to his presentation. And I'm just really amazed by how much thought he's putting into his platform and just really thinking about sort of the whole life cycle and not just candidate interviewing, but how that influences, when we look at JDs or when we look at sourcing and other aspects of the hiring funnel. So yeah, it was a really great conversation.
Okay, cool. And something we talk about a ton, on the podcast and in the newsletter, is this is this inundation of AI tools, right? There's a billion of them, and how do we know a good one, and how do we not know, and how do we know what we want to work with? So for recruiters out there listening, as someone who's here and sort of comes to this, came for the first time in 5 years, but comes to these events, how do you know, what makes one of these AI companies stand out to you as oh yeah, you're here to make hiring better, versus oh, you're a tech bro that's just sort of building things for us? How do you know?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say for the way that I look at it, because we're a 100-person startup, is really looking at quality of hire, and do they really understand the definition of quality of hire and how that really impacts the sort of growth trajectory of a startup. And so for me, what I really look at is, are they really looking at the pain points of what quality of hire really encompasses, and really understanding not just, hey, I'm just throwing out a tool out there because I care about the candidate experience, but let's be for real, us as recruiters, what we really care about is the hiring manager experience and making sure that they're aligned with who they're talking with. And so someone that's really thoughtful about those insights that can not only recruiters can learn about through those interviews, but also to insights that they can share with hiring managers so that they can be better interviewers is so important. And so whenever I talk to one of these tech bros that are making these platforms, and they understand that this is an ecosystem. This is not just a one-off experience, and we're not looking at one type of users. It's multiple users that are involved in this process, and that's what makes hiring so complex. And so I think for me, that's what I look for.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So I want to hear from you, as someone who doesn't know you or kind of what you've dealt with. But I know every time I ask these questions, I hear stories that it's always funny because I think every listener, every reader, and me, I'm always just like, oh yeah, for sure, heard that one. Recruiting can be a nightmare.
Yes.
What is your recruiting nightmare story?
Oh, that's a great question. So I think for me, one of my biggest recruiting nightmare stories was actually happened during the offer stage process.
Okay.
So I was working with this like relatively new hiring manager who wasn't accustomed to our internal hiring process. And so the company that they were accustomed to was used to lowballing candidates. And so I remember one of my recruitment nightmare stories is I was trying to, advocate for the candidate. I was trying to coach the hiring manager. I was like, hey, look, I think we really need to like make sure that we're at least aiming for this number, at least above the midpoint because, this candidate's coming in. They have a lot of competing offers. Like, we really should like put our best offer forward. And because they came from another environment that was used to being lowballing candidates, they were really aggressively pushing back on it. And they were like, well, if they're a great candidate, they're going to negotiate and like they'll get to that place anyway. Like I'm comfortable getting them to that place. And I was like, well, if you're comfortable getting them to that place, like let's not just start at that place. And so we were going back and forth, and it became such a philosophical issue. And so I was like, hey, you know what? My job here is just to advise you. So like, if you want to go and lowball them and then see if we can go from there, like let's do it and see. And of course I was right. We lowballed the candidate. They immediately were like taken aback by the lowball. They were just like, well, it doesn't feel like you're respecting my time. And so we didn't even get to the negotiation part. They just decided to decline our offer altogether.
Sure.
And so for me, that was a nightmare story because, I had to basically start over from scratch that pipeline because this hiring manager decided that they were going to, lowball a candidate.
Yeah. That is such the risk, right? And it's such an antiquated view on these things too. Like that's such just the old, like, yeah, we say this and they'll say this, and that's how candidates get that idea. And then candidates pull that crap, right? Where they're just like, well, I know the offer you give isn't the real offer, and we're gonna go. It's just like, why? Like, why the games? And we've all had those managers like, no, we have to do that because like if they're just gonna ask for too much. So I hate for you that it happened, but I love that candidate declined it right away. Like I love when just like a manager has to see that happen.
Yeah.
And just like, okay. Maybe listen to a recruiter every now and then. Okay. So recruiting's hard, right? The reason I started this podcast, the reason I started the newsletter and do all these things is just like, we are out here alone a lot, right? The internet hates us. We're just like public enemy number one in the corporate world, like internally and externally. I feel like recruiters like the least favorite people, like in the spot. How do you cope with it, right? You show up every day, you do this. Like, how do you cope with sort of like how tough this job has become the last few years?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for me, it's really building community. So I have like a community of recruiters that I built over time, whether through my actual job or just through like Slack communities and other channels that I meet recruiters. And recruiters that I met here during these last 2 days. And so I think having a really strong community matters. I think also too, I've just been really fortunate. Like, at my current company, I started off like with low trust with our hiring managers because they had a bad experience, with past recruiters. And so I had to reestablish that trust. And now after 4 years, I have a really strong coalition of hiring managers that really believe in me and, that say thank you all the time and really advocate for me. I think for me, like I've been very fortunate that I was able to turn around that experience. And now recruitment is looked at as a strategic function at my company.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you have like, how big's your team?
So I'm actually a team of one right now. I'm going to be
Beautiful.
hiring another recruiter later this year.
Yeah. Okay. Good luck with it. You are going to get a lot of applications. But anyone, is it remote or is it on site?
It's going to be a remote role.
Okay.
Yes.
So whoever's listening, right? I know there's probably out of work recruiters. Tune in, get ready. Find Propel, not the water company. Look for the job coming. Sean, I appreciate this. I know you said you have a talk you want to get to, and I pulled you in very quickly.
Yes.
I'm assuming it is starting right now.
Oh yes.
So I'm going to let you go. I definitely appreciate it. It was great to meet you.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, of course. And it was great talking.
Yeah. Great talking to you too.
Thanks.
Thanks.